Hello, I'm Raggy Omar and this is Witness. If I told you that there was an immigrant community whose members are allowed to vote, who local politicians fall over themselves to woo, and who dominate the local economy and dictate what gets developed and prioritized, you'd think I was crazy, right? Well, if the immigrants were dark-skinned and from the Middle East or Africa, you'd be right. But when they're white, rich and from Northern Europe, that's another matter. Thousands of Northern Europeans tired of the damp and cold are moving south to start new lives in sunny Spain. The majority are English, and once there, many try to recreate the lives they were so desperate to leave back home. The locals are bemused by their new neighbours, but with up to 750,000 Britons spending most of the year there, they can't be dismissed. So how does it feel to be a minority in your own country? Frederick Traini went to a typical Spanish town on the Costa Blanca to find out about a small corner of Spain, which is Little England.
I've got six I've got, 7 anywhere, 7 I've got, 8 anywhere, 8 I'm on.
At first glance, this could be a South London pub on one of those rare days when the sun streams through the windows. But in fact, it's in southern Spain on the Costa Blanca, in a town called San Fulgencio to be exact. Only a few orange groves remain because now the cash crop is foreigners, and this once sleepy Spanish village is feeling the squeeze. It began to be swamped by a huge tourist development 2 decades ago. On the crest of the hill overlooking the town is La Marina, where 9,000 foreigners now live, not as tourists, but as immigrants. Down below, on the hot dusty plain, live their neighbours, the Spanish.
It's as if there were 2 walls. This shouldn't be the case, but it is. The people who are on the top don't go down, and the people at the bottom don't go up. I don't know why.
Simone Elster is German, the perfect bridge between the 2 communities. She's one of those rare examples of a foreigner who's embraced her new culture, literally. She married a Spaniard.
The climate here, with sun and all that, obviously life in Spain for a visitor is very nice, very different from life in Germany.
The 3,000 residents of San Fulgencio are having to adapt unexpectedly to living in the most immigrant-dominated town in Spain. Although it is not usually put like that, because in San Fulgencio, the immigrants are generally white and well off. Every 2 weeks, the leaders of the Foreign Residents Association meet in a bar near the town hall to prepare their regular meeting with the mayor. Eric Tweet is the association's president.
There is still this, no, I want it done today.
Ronald Hillman also has some quibbles about the Spanish work ethic.
But you have to be very careful, I've found, dealing with these Spanish authorities. If you push too hard, they push back even harder. This mayor we've got is better than most. He's a bit more receptive than we've had in the past. But so saying, he's not perfect by any means.
The foreigners have often complained about the running of the town, but they are only just waking up to the fact that as taxpayers, and even more importantly, voters for town council elections, they are already in the majority and wield considerable power.
We have a meeting with Mariano.
But he's not here in the morning. Le llamo un momentico.
That's a typical Spanish council work, I think. They just forget things or conveniently forget things, and we end up sort of coming up here and wasting our time.
Viene ahora, ¿vale? Está en el coche y viene ya.
The mayor, Mariano Martí, is having to adapt to living with these northern invaders. He is desperately trying to keep these new residents sweet, since they make up 75% of the electorate.
I think in a community like San Fulgencio, with an ever-growing foreign population, it is increasingly important to take into account all the voters, including foreign voters.
But their priorities sometimes vary wildly.
Useless. What's happening is there's holes and cars are going, swerving across and going between them. When this first comes off, you get 4 bolts sticking up, and people have had the tyres on the cars because these are little more than useless.
Sometimes we don't understand how they want us to do things, because they want everything done right away, immediately. And we have to be very diplomatic in every issue, because sometimes they can be good for one group, but bad for another.
Habrá que cambiar de marca y buscar otra alternativa a las alturas.
He's saying we have it only in the La Marina or in Station, and he thought it's the best one, but he will look for other types, other model.
Yeah, well, if we're going to stay with this type, then we want something a bit more robust than this plastic.
It hardly seems the most pressing problem on the Iberian Peninsula, but for these new Spaniards, it's a major concern. Simone's role as a bridge between communities is sorely needed and often tried.
Many people come here and they don't speak Spanish, so it's difficult to work in the council if you don't know the language. They want to participate and talk about politics, but they don't become candidates. But I think these coming elections, some of them are going to present themselves as candidates.
Most of the Brits who have come to settle in San Fulgencio live in splendid isolation in ghettos. They are very happy to keep separate from the natives.
We're at the sports centre at La Marina. This was built here around about 17 years ago.
Phil Morris is captain of the bowling club.
And there is a Spanish national team of bowlers. Unfortunately, there's no Spanish people playing in it. The Spanish think we're mad. I never played till I came over here.
Oh, didn't you?
No. No, I used to play golf, but I didn't. The English carry on the same as they did at home, really. They don't change much. They eat the same food. Some of them get adventurous and go out to Spanish restaurants. But in the main, we stick to what we've known for the last 50 to 60 years.
Not exactly the spirit of Sir Francis Drake, but there are plenty of Brits looking for a place in the sun. Gemma Quinn came to San Fulgencio 6 years ago with her mother and her sister on a trip organised by an estate agent. It took them only 3 days to buy a house in La Marina and decide to move in permanently.
We had quite a big house back in the UK, and however much we wanted to live in the sun and all of that, we weren't willing to sort of downsize our life completely.
There are so many foreigners now that since they can't read the local newspapers, they've got their own English language free sheet to keep them informed of all important events in their local community.
I started work as a journalist at the Leader newspaper. It's a weekly paper for the expat community. They want to know what local events they can go to, what fiesta they can take their family to at the weekend. So it's very sort of cultural and charity driven as well. Charities are really, really big over here. Hi there, Martin. Hi, nice to see you again.
Martin Ince moved to San Fulgencio, but like many newly arrived immigrants, he is unemployed. He is hoping that by organising charity events, he will eventually land a job on the local council.
When we run this piece on Tuesday then for you, Martin, do you want us to, are we just literally promoting it for you? Is there stuff you still want to appeal for?
Anybody who feels that they have something that is worthwhile to contribute to the day, we are more than interested to speak to these people.
It's a 60s and 70s party. As usual, not a single Spaniard has turned up. Surprisingly here, it is the immigrants who feel that the locals have a lot to learn.
The 60s and 70s music era was around, I believe, the Franco time, so it wasn't an era of music they actually celebrated. That we didn't realise until we'd actually put the evening together. A lot of English now live in Spain, and we do want the Spanish to accept us. The concept of charity is something that is new to them. In the UK, charity fundraising events are done all the time. The Spanish, so much as they do not quite understand the concept of raising money to give away to someone more needy, they have been very responsive to our efforts.
The buffet will be open in a couple of minutes' time, all right? Just let the covers off, so if anybody's hungry, make your way over to the back end of the room there, and that's where the buffet will be set out. Thank you very much.
We speak a bit slow. It's not a contest, you know.
A lot of hope was placed on a brand new theatre as a tool for integration, but there are clear differences of taste. Maria Mosley is the theatre director and arbiter of taste.
We do get one or two Spanish people, but it would be mainly an English audience.
That's it, yeah.
In Spain, I have been living here permanently for 11 years, but we've had a holiday home here for 21 years.
Even for people who have lived here this long, learning Spanish is not a priority.
Now, listen for the piano.
My Spanish is limited. It could be much, much, much better, but it's not, because we've got English people around us all the time.
Even counting to 10 can be a challenge.
Count to 10, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
At the school, a wave of new immigrants in the last 5 years means Spanish is no longer the dominant language, and the Spanish teachers are having to take emergency measures.
Hoy es viernes.
Jesus Pastor is the headmaster of José María Manresa State School. He has had to adapt his curriculum and teaching methods to accommodate these new immigrant students.
The Spanish state is making a big effort to integrate foreign people, and it's spending lots of economic and human resources so that they adapt well to Spain, and so that foreigners in Spain do not just have the sun and sand, but culture, and that their children receive an education. Sino la cultura española y los niños en este caso reciban educación.
We need to speak English, and then Bruno tells us to speak Spanish, so we do, and then we speak Spanish.
To get the immigrant and Spanish children talking to each other, the school has invented a special program of exchanges. Foreign, mainly English-speaking children go to Spanish homes and vice versa. The English, once again, are eager to help educate their new neighbours.
Disfraz.
Lo mismo, disfraz por carnaval.
Oh, ¿tú tienes? Ven. Oh, no míos. Para la fiesta. Speak to me in English.
For the festival. Do you speak much English?
Sí.
See? Yes. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
For the immigrants, often for the first time, the exchanges have introduced the idea that learning Spanish can be helpful.
The reason why we say it's good for the children is because they got a challenge to learn a new language. Back in England, you don't really get a chance to learn Spanish, and because I've always said that Spain is the most popular destination for the English, it's really and truly it's good for them to know the language, and it's also good for myself and my wife as well.
Living in Spain and here to stay, but still thinking only of England.
Surprising how speaking the local language can help. Join me after the break for more insights on the Iberian Peninsula.